right, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. The other day I saw a souped-up golf cart. Is that what you call a golf cart, right, Robert? Mm-hmm. Souped up. Looks like a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, it was cool.
And it made me think of Top of the World. You guys have some golf carts over there, right? Robert Colen is here from Top of the World, and he's with Bo Stepp today. We're meeting Bo for the first time, I think, right, Bo?
Yep. Yeah.
Bo is the Land Development Manager for Top of the World Communities. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Merry Christmas, Robin. Merry Christmas, Larry.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Today's the last day, right?
Happy Hanukkah.
Last night, yep, that's right.
Last night was the last?
Well, tonight's the last night.
Oh, tonight's the last night. Okay. I always confuse the day and the night thing.
And Rabbi Hecht had the menorah lighting behind City Hall.
Yeah, I've been to that a lot of the years,
nice.
but I didn't go this year. I didn't know what day it was.
Mm-hmm.
So how many acres is Top of the World?
I'll let Bo answer that question. It's actually changed throughout the years because we've sold off or
oh, really?
Some of the land, but
Currently, it's just over 13,000 acres.
Okay. I know it's big.
Yeah, it's big.
And I know what your job is. I can't imagine if you were standing there before anything was built and somebody said, "Would you please develop this?" 13,000 acres.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift. Yeah,
What is your first thought? I mean, when did you come on board?
in 2005.
Okay, so it was already developed somewhat.
Yeah, there was a pretty good bit already in 2005, and in 2005, the market had picked up substantially, so we were developing at a pretty good clip then. So it was all hands on deck.
So how do you develop land? And I hate to use the word template, but I can't think of a better way to ask this. Is there something already in place that kind of gives you a way to develop land? Because if I stood on the edge of Manhattan before they put anything up there, I would say, I can't even imagine what's going to be here. And then look at it now.
Sure. Well, the framework really is designed by the state and the local municipalities. So they have the regulations that you can develop under, and then from that, you have your idea and you develop a team. And
so, have you ever had one of those wild ideas and you couldn't wait to tell Robert or somebody?
He had wild ideas about things, but it had nothing to do with land development.
That's right.
You tell me off the air?
No, the ideas can come from anywhere. I mean, that's one of the great things about the company that we work for. It doesn't necessarily have to come from our department or even from the president. It could come from anywhere. And if somebody has a good idea, we'll chase it down.
See, look, when you drive through the mountains, I know this is a crazy example, but when you drive through the mountains and you see a hole that was blasted through so they could put a road there, I always think about the work crew before that hole was blasted. The boss must have said, we need to put a road through there. And they would have said, are you crazy? So, I mean, when you're developing land like the Top of the World land, mm-hmm. and you develop like Shalom Park, I mean, that was a pretty cool vision that somebody had to do that.
So you think with Sidney Colen first started all of this in 1947 when he moves down to Florida, and he starts building houses in St. Petersburg, and then in the early 60s, he's looking, where can I build something really big? He wants to build a country, actually, originally, and he was looking at islands, and then he was traveling all over the world. He went to South America, he went to South Africa, went to Africa, South Africa as well. And finally, he found this huge piece of land. It was about 14,000, 15,000 acres here in Ocala in 1975. And within a few weeks, he had signed the letter of intent, and he purchased the land. And it was just a huge cattle farm, the Circle Square Ranch cattle farm. And there was,
right?
Yeah. So, right. So that's where it all started, is a 2-lane road off of 200, and they started building within a couple of years, and by 1984 they had their first houses under construction.
Wow.
And that is really amazing. But now with everything, a lot of people living on small amounts of land, you have to think about the environment. So with your job, Bo, how do you manage to keep the environment in check with accommodating all the people?
Well, we have an extensive network of environmental checks and balances on the property. So that's one of the things that's important to us as a developer. We have over 400 acres of conservation land set aside. We work really closely with a really top-notch environmental consultant group out of Orlando, and we manage for a couple of threatened species in Florida: the tortoise, the scrub jay. At one point in time, we had colony of red-cockaded woodpeckers, which is an endangered species. Those were relocated to the Ocala National Forest
Really?
Oh,
That's the
my.
big one, right?
That's
the-
right.
Yeah. yeah.
Wow.
In a conservation effort.
I had one in my yard one time.
Yeah.
Did you really?
It was huge. Yeah.
Must have been scary.
I got my camera out. I was hoping it would stick around, and it did. I got a picture of it. Yeah, it was so big.
So anytime we go to develop a new portion of the property, the very first thing we do is an environmental assessment to see if there are any species of concern on the property.
I like that. I wonder how that affects like sales. Like if I was going to buy in a community, I would want to know that you had that kind of ethical kind of oversight of everything in the community that I'm living in.
Well, I hope it affects sales in a positive way. I mean, it's something that we're really proud of.
I mean, it's got to be part of the reason why it's clean. I don't even think we've ever used the word clean, but it is the first thing I think of when I go into the community. It's the same thing with any facility or any business. The one thing you think is it clean, you know? It's like a hotel. First thing you think is it clean, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you guys do a good job. You have a street cleaner? We got a street cleaner in the parking lot.
We do have a street cleaner.
This guy is crazy, the one out here. He just drives all over the place.
So when you are planning the next phase for whatever's coming up, do you know, do you have in mind that they're going to be like single level homes, or are you going to build up? Would it be more conducive to build up, or how would you handle that?
Well, the situation dictates, obviously, for each different product, and we have about 4 different products right now that we're building. So before we ever decide to push the first amount of dirt or lay the first pipe, there's a good probably year and a half of planning.
So land development duties, your job is not just the big picture, but actually the individual lots.
That's right.
Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that.
And so when Bo when his job starts, he's looking at an empty field where cows are. And when he's finished with his job, the roads are developed, the infrastructure's in place, the electric's there, the plumbing's there, the lots are developed and ready for, as we were just talking back there, shovel ready to build the house.
Yeah.
So he takes it and he's got he takes that open farmland, and he's met with the site engineers, he's met with the architects that develop how the roads are going to be designed, how the lots are going to be laid out, and then his job is to coordinate. And I'm going to start taking his glory here, but he meets with the contractors that actually come out and do the work. They plow the land, they drive the roads out, and well, you can talk about it.
So did it come all the way up to 200? Is all that land where Publix is and all those places, that is top of the world? Right?
Yes. On top of the world stretches from State Road 200 up to 38th by Westport High School over to
Whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah, 60th Avenue south of the airport, and a little sliver that touches 484.
So where Burger King is now used to be a cow field.
That's right.
That's ironic.
That's right.
Is ironic the right word there?
I think so.
That's
Yes, it is.
It's the
interesting.
natural progression of
That's interesting.
Well, when you're doing the developing, though, you're not only developing for homes, you've got to have a whole community in your head with recreational facilities, like something like Shalom Park, plus the houses to make it all conducive to be a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, that's right, and that's one of the things that we really focus on, because there are a lot of developments in the area, but there aren't a lot of developments our size that are programmed with the type of quality amenities that we have. Currently we have over 300,000 square feet of amenities to choose from.
Wow.
And we're constantly adding more. Actually, we just broke ground earlier this month on a new amenity facility for one of our newer neighborhoods. So,
for Indigo.
yeah, for Indigo South community.
Right.
Oh,
So
my
we're
gosh.
always thinking about what's the next thing that the residents want, and the best way to provide that for them.
I can tell you, you might want to get Bo to talk about this, but because he likes to really keep things close to the vest, and that's the kind of poker player he is. But we are in process inside on top of the world. We have a new neighborhood. It's called Crescent Ridge. We already have other Crescent Ridges. This is a new neighborhood. But inside the Crescent Ridge neighborhood, we're actually building a veterans center now.
Oh.
Veterans Park. And Bo, who's a Marine veteran, a combat veteran at that, is he's going to be involved with developing that as well.
Wow. Wasn't there an area out there by top of the world that was considered by the state to build a veterans?
Yeah, it was.
facility?
It was right off of Southwest 80th Avenue across from Circle Square Commons. And yeah, we actually made the short list for consideration for the new veterans facility.
Is it going to happen eventually?
I don't know. I know that the staff at Marion County, it's something that they want to bring to the county, and they're actively working on it, but I don't know. Time will tell.
Could you do that at On Top of the World? Could you guys just build that facility instead of waiting for the state to come in, or is that too many
That's
politics
really like
and
outside of
loopholes?
our scope of what we do. So, I
Oh,
mean,
I
obviously, it's a veterans center, so it's a government, the federal government in conjunction with the state that does it. So we don't really have it. What we were doing was we were gifting the land to the county for it.
Oh,
really?
my.
Since it didn't happen, we have other needs for the land, obviously, now as things develop. So, but they didn't win it, so it's going on to different
So the
uses.
park, but you are doing a veterans park.
inside of On Top of the World.
Okay.
That's right.
And help me understand what that's going to be. Is it like the veterans park down near the library?
Similar but different. Yeah,
yeah.
just a veterans memorial area. So it'll be a park-like setting.
This is a
just
nice idea.
A reflective area.
It's just
Right.
to show appreciation.
It's exactly what it is, show appreciation, and there's tons of veterans that live in On Top of the World.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ways that we're able to say thank you for their service.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
It's very heartfelt.
We do a veteran show on Thursdays, by the way, just so you know. The Vets Helping Vets, that group, they come in and do the show every Thursday. So
Will you be developing anything on a scale of Shalom Park within the On Top of the World communities at a different area?
It's possible. It's possible. Like I said before, situation dictates, and Robert's right. I keep things close to the vest, but that's not because I like to keep secrets, but that's just because we like to pride ourselves on being nimble and being able to change quickly, to adapt to whatever our residents and the future residents
really?
are requiring from us. So
Yeah.
we really try to be very nimble in that regard.
But some of the things the way that we're developing, and Bo's probably better able to talk about, is the houses back up to conservation areas. We have whole areas where the houses back up to it. So you have a
Oh.
nice open view of it, but then it also has that utility of being a place for, migrating, what was it, the owl? I forgot the
Yeah,
name.
the burrowing owl.
The burrowing
Oh,
owl, which
my.
migrates, and it's a habitat right there. And I don't know, what is that, 40 acres or something close
Yeah, it's
to it.
just about 40 acres, yeah.
You have 40 acres just for the owls?
Yeah, that's right. And that's a set aside, and
Oh.
that's in addition to the 400 that's actually estate conservation lands. All throughout our developments, we'll have natural areas or set asides for different species.
This is a beautiful place. This is like one of Ocala's best kept secrets then.
Yeah, but it's neat because not only can we provide that house for the property for the animal that needs it, the animals that need it, but it also provides a place where the homeowners can live and they have that kind of peace and they can respect those animals as well. There was a guy, he backs up to it, and he had pictures of the burrowing owl, and he came into me one time and he came to my office and he was really upset. He's like, I haven't seen it in months, and he showed me pictures of it. He goes, where is it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't keep track of it.
yeah, how would you know?
But they do migrate, and but then he came back to me about 6 months later. And he goes, "Oh, he's back. He's got his house there again."
Oh, how nice.
But that's exactly the point, and that's the sort of mindset that we start off with when we're planning the next areas. How to create those type of interactions.
That's actually good, though, for living purposes. I don't know if this is true. I'm not a farmer, but I always heard from farmers that if you have owls, then you won't have any mice. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, they do eat mice.
I don't think there's enough of these
Yeah.
burrowing houses.
Oh, really?
And there's field mice out there, but they don't really get into the house. Do you know who attacks the houses? It seems to be rabbits.
The rabbits attack the houses?
Well, they go after the plants in their flower beds.
I love that.
We get people complain to us about this. What are you going to do about the rabbits? I'm like,
They would complain.
that's what the coyotes are for.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's funny.
So is that what you're also involved with, Bo? Is the landscaping aspect also when you lay out the communities?
No, actually, it's something that comes across our purview. But we have an on-staff landscape professional who's a certified arborist and really just top-notch at what he does in that regard. And he does a really good job, and it's evidenced by exactly what Robert's talking about. We plan these areas with the environment in mind. and creating quality spaces for people. And then that gets transferred over into the landscape package that we install, and it's a Florida native package, and the wildlife just seems to migrate back into the communities after we're done developing. So
Not the dangerous wildlife.
yeah, not the dangerous wildlife, but like the rabbits and the squirrels and things like that. But it's a real testament to the things that our landscape division, Phil Heisey, who's in charge of that he does that. The wildlife so readily comes back into a developed area.
But to
after we're done.
piggyback on that and kind of go back to the environmental conversation of it, our landscape packages are designed to be water conservation. So when you look at a person gets a water bill and they've got, the biggest thing that usually shows up on their water bill is the use of water on your grass. So it's something like 75 to 80% of your water usage is just being dumped out on your landscape. And we design our landscapes to reduce the amount of sod and to improve the amount of flowers and plant beds that are there. And I think it's a 50-50 breakdown, but it's called xeriscaping. We try to use Florida-friendly plants and XERI scaping. So it goes to our whole environmental stewardship idea, which is reduce the imprint that we have, the carbon imprint, the water usage that we do, and to make life more sustainable for our residents as well, and keeping their expenses down all at the same time.
It's a really well-planned community. You usually can tell the cities that are well-planned and the cities that are well-maintained from those that are not. Ocala is okay. And so I'm being a little critical right now, but they were bad. They were worse than they are now. The city planners and managers now are doing a better job than their predecessors, and I'm picking on them only because, you have there's some blighted areas in Ocala.
Sure.
And we had more. And little by little, they're starting to clean it up and make it look nice again. But you guys have no blighted areas at all.
Nope, not even after the storms.
So I mean, I guess that's where I was going with that. Is that it's planning and management that
Well, I mean, you're not going to have blighted areas because for one thing, in the older communities that are developed, we maintain the buildings, right? So we repaint them every 7 years. We maintain their roofs.
Managing.
We maintain we maintain their yards. So, and then we have homeowner association rules that if you're putting out 20 pink flamingos, the association's saying, well, that's not acceptable. And if you're going to paint your house, a bright flamingo pink, we're saying, well, the HOA doesn't allow that to happen. So
that's why.
Right. So we're able to help control the property values and maintain people's community by enforcement and by the way we maintain their houses and their community. So I think it does a good job of protecting.
Is that
everyone.
the vision that will still be in place 100 years from now? I mean, it's hard to know for sure, but
I'm sure.
That's the plan, though, right?
That's the plan, and that's
Certainly
what's laid
hope
out,
so, yeah.
right? That's the way it's laid out. The company is debt free, so it's set aside, it's set up to be a long-standing community that can maintain people's property values and maintain their lifestyle.
Well, Sydney was amazing. I mean,
was.
debt-free. I mean, gosh, that's unheard of.
You mentioned 75, right? 1975. Is that what
Yes,
it's called?
that was the year.
Okay. The Carpenters had a song called "On Top of the World" in like the mid 70s. Is there a connection to this?
It was connected, and we get a royalty. And just so you know, it's not just Sydney whose idea. Ken really was the one who pushed the environment. Ken Colen, who's Sydney's son, is the one really was the champion of environmental stewardship and energy conservation, water conservation. He's really the one pushing all that, and that's because it comes from his core principles of who he is.
It is a lesson learned from anybody who pays attention to history. I mean, so many cities that didn't pay attention to that. We're wishing we had paid more attention. New York is the only city I really know, and Central Park is probably the only exception to that. The rest of the city is, a little park here, or like a one-block park or something. It's not quite enough, I don't think. And they are talking about, as buildings become demolished, to return to some of the old ways.
Sounds like Detroit, right?
Yeah.
They're turning
About blight.
Are they turning big areas back into farmland, or
When you lay out the different communities and you have to lay out the roads, and then you lay out the areas for the golf carts to drive on, is there a different criteria for the content of what you build the roads out of and what you build the golf cart roads out of?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. So yes is the short answer, and that's all specified by our engineering consultant. But yes, because roadways have heavier traffic, they're much more sturdy than the golf cart paths are required to be, and so they're typically they look the same, but you probably have about half the stability
okay.
of a typical roadway. So a typical roadway would have about 8 inches of rock under it and 2 inches of asphalt, and a golf cart path would have about 4 and 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Wow.
that's interesting to me.
Do you leave your signature on the work you do? Is there something there that your grandchildren will say, "Oh, look, that's Grandpa's work"?
Well, I don't know if I leave a personal signature on it, but for me, it's the tiny little details. That little,
So what would I look for
Tiny
that says this
details
is from
of-
Bo Stepp?
just the cleanliness and the order to things is the way that I like to leave it. This stuff that has you could tell when you look at it, it was done with purposeful intent, like with all the little details.
Disney uses hidden Mickeys. Have you ever seen the hidden Mickeys?
Yes, I have. We actually have a book in our house that we have to carry with us to Disney World every time we go.
And look for the
Really?
hidden Mickeys.
Gives you clues to the hidden Mickeys. Yes.
Oh,
Robert,
nice.
Never heard of that.
You never heard of hidden Mickeys?
No.
You gotta have hidden
I will gladly let you borrow that book.
hidden Otos. How do you pronounce Otow?
Oto?
Oto?
You have to have hidden Otos.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would be neat. Now that's a great idea.
There you
It
go.
is.
Hidden
So-
Otos.
What about a golf cart that you call the Otomobile? Just a thought.
It's kind of like that rock, Ocala Rocks. Or
Have you ever had a time where you would lay out plans and everything, and then the construction guys themselves would be out there and they would start constructing according to the plan, and then they say, "Oh, this doesn't look like it's going to work."
Every single time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, every single time. That
Are they
that-
right or wrong? Sometimes each way.
Yeah, sometimes both. But there's issues with every project that you build. Horizontal construction and vertical construction, I'm sure, is no different. The best laid plans. There's always the field conditions to deal
Right,
with.
and it, just kind of an example, if you have so many houses that are close together, and they're separated basically by 10 feet on the sides, and 50 feet behind them, something in that area. So sometimes, and Bo's responsible for the drainage of those properties, and sometimes you may not have it where it's absolutely perfect, and then you do have to go back, or it didn't get developed the way that the engineer had designed, because things changed in the field. I mean, it could have been raining a couple of days in a row, and it changed the way the grade was. So we do go back and have to modify that. And so we've even done it with a driveway where we've put a French drain in the middle of a driveway, or not in the middle, but right near the street, to
Right,
help
right.
make sure that water got flowed away properly.
Wow.
And that shows how professional you gentlemen are.
That's right, and take responsibility for the way we develop the community.
Sometimes we get started and we dig a hole and we go, oh well, that's interesting. That's not supposed to be there. And so
love that.
right from the start, you're fixing something that you weren't expecting to, and changing your plan. So
We just appreciate the beauty of the place, and we don't realize how much thought goes into it. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for your service again.
Sure.
Have
Thank you,
a
sir.
great holiday season. Do you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah? What do you celebrate? Anything?
Christmas, we celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah in our house.
Oh, you do?
Oh, nice.
Robert, I know you're doing Hanukkah.
We're Hanukkah and New Year's.
There you go.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming in here. Want to give a phone number real quick, Robert?
Well, 854-0805 is the main office, and that'll take you to sales as well. But Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everyone, and hope it's a great 2018 for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you both. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
How about a really different last-minute Christmas gift? Give a tree from Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Bob has a huge selection, more types of trees than you can imagine. Prices starting as low as $59 for some trees up to 7 feet tall. How about a citrus tree? Lemon and lime trees, regularly $29.99, just $19.99. Last-minute deals on poinsettias, too. Get 3 for just $10. Larger sizes available. It's Camellia time, and Bob has them, starting at only $9.99. Want to get up to $60 in gift certificates free? Then buy some gift certificates at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens. Last minute longer hours this week, too. They're open daily till 5, Saturday till 3. Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens.